The beam is finally back. It has been a very long time. Forgot what it looked like, but we finally are back beaming. And all it took was for us to be almost completely healthy and to go against a team that's missing like six of their better players. That's all it takes. But hey, I'm just glad we got a win. Does this win exactly, spark a lot of confidence that we can keep things going? No, of course not. It's against the Mavs without Luca, Kyrie, Klay Thompson, Derek Lively, Najee Marshall, Dante Exum. Like, their whole team's out. And they went down massive in the first quarter, down like 18, allowed 37 points. But after that first quarter, they locked in defensively, and the Mavericks just started missing some three-point shots. I thought the Kings came out, first few possessions, had some nice pace offensively. Things were looking good. It had a good feel to it. And then after those first few possessions, it kind of went away. And there were some dumb mistakes. There were a whole bunch of unforced turnovers. There were some dumb fouls, like on three-point shooters. Monk fouled Dinwiddie. The Kings let Dinwiddie get right to the rim. Dinwiddie also hit two tough threes. Then you had DeMar gambling, trying to get a steal, and letting PJ Washington get an open corner three, and then he starts going off. He's 4 for 4 from three. You had Keegan trying to make something off the dribble, like running into Sabonis and trying to make a dumb pass instead of taking his time and trying to like maneuver around Sabonis, using him as a screen. And he just kind of like throws it away right to the Mavs. Monk just taking his eye off the ball on an inbound pass. Keon throwing a bad entry pass in the post, or not waiting for Sabonis to get ready in the post and get position. The Kings just leaving PJ Washington, even though he had already hit a couple. I mean, they left Dinwiddie wide open after he had hit a few. Luckily, he missed. So it's just, an awful start. And it's like, here we go. We're about to lose to this shorthanded Mavs team. And then, you foul PJ Washington on a three because you have Lyles and Len closing out at him. And that's the problem with going with Lyles and Len and DeRozan and Herter and those guys all at the same time. Because then another play, you had Herter sitting too far back on PJ Washington, and he just rises up for three. And so it just felt like all of our problems just screaming at us in the first quarter of this game, just like slow-footed on the perimeter, bad closeouts, no length, allowing these three-point shots. It's like, of course, the Mavericks hitting an inordinate amount of them, starting like 7 for 8. But still, watching PJ Washington go off when many Kings fans wanted the Kings to trade for PJ Washington, and he's the exact type of wing player that this team needs, and seeing the Mavericks actually go out, make a trade for him, for Gafford, to address their weaknesses, the Kings not doing that. It just felt like the perfect kind of first quarter to put us down, The only guys really playing well in that first quarter, I thought Sabonis was very good offensively, and then you had Keon come in and hit a buzzer-beating three, which was nice. That was like the only cool thing that happened in the entire first quarter. But hey, maybe that's what got the momentum going. And I think if there was one big takeaway from this game, not that we didn't already know it, but it's like, yeah, Keon Ellis needs to start. But the second quarter was just much better. Less turnovers. Kings, again, like starting kind of the second quarter how they started the first quarter, with a few good possessions of good movement, good pace even in the half court. And even Alex Len in there, who doesn't seem to really fit right now, but what he was doing was really crashing the offensive glass. And he was just sitting himself down there, making himself a nuisance. And so that's kind of how he was contributing to the offense. But one thing that did hurt the Kings offense was Malik Monk just making bad decisions in the pick and roll, which is not really normal for him. He was having an off game. He had 6 turnovers and ended up shooting 4 for 14 from the field. He just didn't really get in a flow in that pick and roll game. But then Domas came back in, made a really nice feed to Lyles cutting. He like faked the pass to the 3-point line, hit Lyles on a cut. The Kings were finding DeMar on mismatches and getting him super deep into the post. And that's exactly how you want to utilize DeMar DeRozan. You don't just want to go to him and give him the ball way out at the 3-point line and just let him dribble around for an entire possession. It's like, get him in the post if he has a mismatch, get him deep. And so I thought the Kings had a good balance when it came to getting the ball to DeMar in those moments. And the Kings just finally started getting some stops. And, some of that was just the Mavs finally starting to miss. Getting stops against this Mavs team is not exactly some great feat. It's Spencer Dinwiddie who can go off and had 30 in this game, but he's their perimeter creation, and then it's PJ who also was creating for himself. But there just aren't really guys for the Mavs that are gonna run an offense and really create for others really well. Like Spencer Dinwiddie, he can be an all-star talent every couple of games, but then other times he shows his inconsistencies. And so it really was just Dinwiddie and PJ Washington when it came to the offense for the Mavericks. And so as long as the Kings could shut those guys down and not have them dominate us every single possession, it was going to be tough for the Mavs to create. So much better defense past the first quarter, which was very concerning in that first quarter. I think like midway to late through that second quarter, Monk and Sabonis finally started to connect a little bit in that pick and roll. And it went both ways. Sabonis finding Monk for three, Monk finding Sabonis inside. But then the Kings missed a couple threes and the Mavs responded with a little bit of a run of their own. They started to get inside and the Kings just got really frustrated with the officiating, which was something that they were kind of getting frustrated with the whole game, and it pissed me off because they were just arguing the clearest fouls. Like, you would have Fox just putting two hands into a guy's back and arguing it, Sabonis doing the same thing, DeMar doing the same thing. It was pissing me off because, when the refs make calls, I'm all with them, getting pissed at the refs, but like this game, they were just getting pissed when they were clearly fouling them. So that is making me mad at the Kings players for arguing and not getting back on defense. Because there were three separate occasions. One from each of DeMar, Fox, and Monk where they didn't get back on defense, as quick as you would want them to because they were arguing calls. And I think the Kings offense started to get, there was just a lot of dribbling around. And then on the defensive side, the Kings could not stop fouling. And I think that's some of the frustration. They weren't playing defense with their chests and they started playing with their hands a little bit more. And so that's kind of what let the Mavs get back into the lead at halftime. But the Kings did get a little momentum. Sabonis got inside, Fox got an and one. So Kings got a little momentum going. But to start the third again, there was a lot of complaining from the Kings. And it was annoying. You had Fox pick up a tech at one point. I think Lyles in the fourth quarter picked one up, and you had DeMar in foul trouble. That's why he only played 26 minutes. But Fox also got into foul trouble later. And it was kind of a frustrating start to the third because you had Keegan like passing up a shot for a shot clock violation, which wasn't the first time in this game that he kind of contributed to a shot clock violation. But then you had DeMar picking up that fourth foul and going out. Keon came in. And then you had Fox really complaining a lot. And so Doug Christie just pulled him, maybe because of the foul trouble, but also maybe just so he didn't get another technical, which was smart because he needed to calm down. And then Sabonis just pushing, I think it was PJ Washington in the back. And even if it wasn't like a full-on push, like PJ's going for a layup, you have your hand at his back. It was just dumb fouls from the Kings that were kind of letting the Mavs hang around, just letting them get to the free throw line. They shot 29 free throws. It was just dumb fouls. I don't think Sabonis was good defensively in this game because he was just fouling unnecessarily around the rim, and so was DeMar. And there were just a lot of times where Sabonis found himself in space against a PJ Washington. And a lot of that is on his teammates not fighting through screens and allowing that switch to happen. But then he was compounding it by fouling because he's not necessarily the worst perimeter defender. He wasn't good in this game, but he was compounding it through his fouling. And there were just some bad interior passes, especially from Monk. Like I said, Monk's pick and roll game just not totally on point. had a lot of turnovers, and the Kings were missing threes. Finally, Monk made a good pass to Lyles in the corner for three, and that's part of what started the big end of third quarter run. But the other guy that really started the run was Keon Ellis, and it was him getting a steal, drawing a foul, going to the line. Then he got another steal. The Kings missed like 4 threes or something, or 3 threes, and then Keon missed a layup, and Sabonis finally got the putback. Ton of offensive rebounds, and that's somewhere the Kings dominated this game. 18-2 in offensive rebounds, 58-36 in total rebounding. You had Sabonis with 7 offensive rebounds, Len with 5. Those were the 2 big contributors. And that was one of the main ways that Sabonis contributed to the offense. His passing was good, but also just carving out space inside. And either that space allowed his teammates to get shots off, or he was getting the offensive rebounds. But then you had Lyles taking a charge right after that. And the energy, like, I feel like we haven't felt that in so long. This type of run. Fox hit the midi. Herter locked up Dinwiddie one-on-one. Then he hit the sidestep 3. And that was the big one, because it's like, we've seen the Kings have runs where they're able to, get a few steals, get a few layups, but then it's like they can't get the big 3-point shot to go down. And they didn't shoot well from 3 this game, but finally you had Herter hitting that 3. Even if it was his only 3 of the game, it was a big one to keep that momentum going. And it just felt like such a relief when he hit that. And then you ended off the quarter with the Fox midi that just went all the way around the rim a few times and down. And the crowd was just going insane, and it was so fun. And it's like, how is this team 7-12 at home? I just don't get it. How did this team lose 5 out of 5 on a homestand? This is a team that lost 6 games. This is a team that's in the news for all the wrong reasons, that has absolutely sucked and hasn't given the effort that's required. And yet, the fans just beating a lowly Mavericks team here without all their good players. We're going insane over a run in the third quarter, But then I loved right out of the fourth quarter, immediately they forced a shot clock violation. So that was a very, very good sign. Then you had Keegan hitting a tough midi. And I just love when he just rises up when he's in that mid-range. When he's coming off those screens, takes 1-2 dribbles, rises up. And he hit 2 of those this game. Those were his only 2 makes and 4 points. We need to see more of that from him. And obviously the 3-point shot, he has to be able to hit that, and he hasn't. But look, at this point, I've accepted he's not going to become some off-the-dribble threat. But when he's coming around those screens, he just has to have the confidence to rise up and just take those shots. Because, there were a couple other times this game where he passed up shots, and it resulted in shot clock violations. But Keegan was dominating defensively in that fourth, because it was when Sabonis was out. They were playing Lyles at the 5 because we didn't love what we saw from Len in the first half, I think. And Lyles at the 5 had it going, and he was a massive part of this run. But for that to work defensively at all, you need Keegan to be a force in the paint. And he was. He was breaking things up. He was guarding Gafford when he needed to. And there were just some wild sequences in this game that, kind of make me wonder if you're against a better Mavericks team, if they kind of punish. But most of those wild sequences ended with us scoring, hitting a 3 usually. Lyles hit a shot clock beating 3 on one kind of sequence that got out of hand. And then you had Herter playing some great defense. He played some great one-on-one defense at times in this game, forced a turnover. And Dinwiddie hit a super deep 3 to cut it to, I think, 10. And Fox just immediately answered back with a 3. And that was so nice, because it's like Mavs hit that 3 and think, okay, they're trying to get something going here. And then Fox just immediately puts an end to that. And that's what you want him to do. And Fox he was cooking in that fourth, picked up his 5th foul, which, wasn't great. But Monk and DeRozan came in and they made some nice plays to keep the offense running. And the Mavs were just kind of consistently having to shoot at the end of the shot clock, which is always a good sign. And that's kind of what you would expect to force a team to do when they don't have Luka, when they don't have Kyrie. Like, that's exactly the type of defense you should be playing, and I'd be worried if you weren't doing that. One thing I didn't love was Keon got a long offensive rebound. The Kings could have pushed it, but Keon backed it out and didn't even take it across half court. And the, that's what gets the Kings in trouble sometimes. And it's like walking that fine line of still playing how you did with the pace to be able to get the lead, but then, also not playing too fast where you can just give the lead away. It's a very fine line. But what I would love to see is push the pace. And if nothing is there, then you just like keep your dribble alive and back it out. You don't force anything, but you create the cross matches by pushing the ball up in transition. And then from there, you can work your offense and kill time while still reaping the benefits of pushing because they are cross matched. But the Kings were just, able to play enough defense down the stretch and get a few nice plays like Sabonis offensive rebound to get to the free throw line. DeMar knocked down a midi. Had some nice defensive plays. Had one where they picked up a loose ball, which was nice. And then you had the Fox to Monk oop to kind of ice the game. Or maybe it was the Fox steal and dunk that kind of iced the game. But there's one interesting thing. The Kings took Monk out in the middle of that fourth quarter, put Keon in, and I liked that move. I mean, that's kind of what I've been asking for, is ending the game with Keon Ellis. And they haven't been doing that. But then, for some reason, they put Monk back in at one point. I don't know exactly the timestamp, but they put him back in. And you know what immediately happened? Is he didn't fight through a screen hard enough, and the Mavs got an open layup. That's why you have to end with a more defensive lineup, in my opinion. But the Kings, I mean, they just needed this so badly. But, it's just something you got to build on because you have another little homestand here. And at least you're not going over on this homestand. But really, what we saw was the Kings thrived in that third quarter when the pace was high. And when they were, forcing turnovers, especially Keon. And that's why he's such an important part of this team. I'm not saying putting him in the starting lineup or closing lineup is going to completely turn this team around, but it might make it so you don't go 0-5 on a homestand. He's a big part of creating those turnovers, going the other way, pushing the pace. And then you finally got some three-point shooting from Trey Lyles, though that was pretty much it. Fox shot well as well from three, which is good because he had been struggling. So we can go to the individuals here. Fox, very, very good offensive game, 13 for 23 and 3 for 7 from three. Finally knocking down the three, and that's what got him up to the 33 points. 6 assists, had only 1 turnover, which is awesome. And he was just getting to his spots and knocking them down. But I loved, like, early in this game, he went straight at Jaden Hardy, just went right through him, bodied him right to the rim. He was aggressive, and he was getting annoyed at the officials, which I didn't love, but it did end up working out for the Kings. And I think Doug Christie did a good job of keeping everyone calm and keeping an eye on that. The one place I think Fox could have been better was in that first quarter defensively. I don't think he was very good on Dinwiddie. But again, just put Keon Ellis in, and you don't have to deal with it that much because you could just have Keon on Spencer Dinwiddie. Sabonis, 33 minutes, 8 for 16 from the field, 17 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, only 2 turnovers. Not a great defensive game from him with his fouling and not great defense around the rim, but great rebounding, great playmaking. His passing was top notch in this game. And there were different portions of this game where he was just absolutely dominating Gafford inside, which was good to see. DeRozan, 26 minutes, 6 for 13 from the field. With 14 points. He was efficient, and I like the way he attacked mismatches, but it was just the foul trouble that got him in trouble, obviously. But it would be nice if the Kings could have another wing so that they didn't have to always go to these 3-guard lineups when he's in foul trouble, or sometimes, even without foul trouble. Maybe 26 minutes for him is not the worst idea, Monk, 36 minutes, 4 for 14 from the field, 1 for 6. From 3, 14 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 6 turnovers. Just a little sloppy when it came to his playmaking inside. Wasn't knocking down his shots. Wasn't good defensively. Had a few moments offensively, but just not the greatest game from Monk. And then Keegan, 36 minutes, 0 for 3 from 3, 2 for 8 from the field, 4.6 rebounds. Had some great defensive moments, and I loved the 2 middies that he hit, but we need the 3-point shooting from him to be better, and we need him to be more confident and be able to get to that mid-range more often, because he's obviously able to knock it down. He's shown that ability throughout his career. And then you have Trey Lyles coming off the bench, providing a huge spark for the second straight game. 22 minutes, 5 for 9 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, 14 points, team high plus 31. He was battling inside against Gafford a lot of the times, which is tough for him, obviously being undersized there, but knocking down the threes, taking a charge, running the floor, and being a big part of the energy that catapulted the Kings into a big lead in this game. Keon with 20 minutes, at least he played 20 minutes, 1 for 5 from the field, got to the free throw line and was a perfect 4 for 4, and had some moments where he was on the ball, like bringing the ball up the court, handling in a pick and roll where he like didn't make good decisions. And that's where I'm like, why are we having him bring the ball up and try to make an entry pass to Sabonis when you have Malik Monk right there? And I get that it's part of the set where Malik's going to be doing something else, but I just think it results in too many turnovers when they have him do that. But overall, a very positive impact from Keon. And then Herder, 1 for 4 from 3, 1 for 5 from the field in 20 minutes, so only 3 points, but had some very nice defensive plays in the second half of this game. In the first half, not so much. In the first half, he was definitely a little frustrating defensively, along with everyone else in that first quarter. Still not knocking down the 3, but hit the big momentum one, so that was good. And then Alex Len went 2 for 7. That's just not good for Alex Len. So many misses around the rim, getting stripped, but had the 4 points and 8 rebounds, including 5 offensive rebounds. So, his offensive rebounding was good, but I don't think he should be part of this rotation going forward. The Kings' next game is at home against the 76ers. This could be the debut of Devin Carter, which is very exciting. I have no idea how they're going to fit him into the rotation. He could play over Kevin Herter, but I don't see that happening. I don't know. They'll find some minutes like they did with Colby Jones, but it'll be interesting to see how many minutes he gets. I mean, he shouldn't even be getting a lot of minutes right away anyways, because he's not in shape. But, it'll be interesting to see, how many minutes he gets, how much opportunity he gets. I hope he gets enough, because, we need to give him opportunity, because I think he'll take advantage of it and really carve out a good rotational spot for himself. Of course, I don't know that he's going to play in this game, but, he's back with the big club, so we'll see. The Sixers, they're on a very good streak. They've been playing, much better. They started the season just with some awful play, injuries playing a big part of that, but they're back, and we're gonna need Sabonis to stay out of foul trouble in this one. That's kind of my big worry against Embiid. He can't be picking up dumb fouls or fouls going for loose balls. We need him to make sure he stays on the court. And I would love to see, Keon Ellis get into the starting lineup, but don't think that's going to be happening. But anyways, that is it for this episode of the Roll Report. As always, shout out to the members of this channel, No Rain and Joe Mama, for the support. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.